Is it possible that I can finance in 15 years?
About this one because I had just done a bankruptcy, like literally.
I'm not willing to do anything to get out of debt.
Today we've got a guy asking for a 15-year car loan. A guy trying to trade in a truck he bought right after a bankruptcy. A woman sitting on $169,000 of debt. And someone who refuses to make any sacrifices to pay hers off. It's an interesting one.
Do you have a Model X Tesla? Is it possible that I can finance in 15 years?
It's not. The max the lenders will do on a newer vehicle is I can get 8 years of financing. I already think that's a little too much just because of how much interest that brings. So if I plug it in here, 125K, 15 years equals to, at the best rates, $120,000 in interest.
If you're out there looking for a 15-year loan on a car, you're broke. I know people who have paid off their mortgage in less than half that time. And think about that, you're paying almost $120,000 in interest for a vehicle that's dropping in value every single day. And with it being electric, I'd be worried about the battery. Could it even survive a 15-year loan? You might be making payments long after that Tesla's already given up on you.
It's honestly not worth it to do it. I would get something cheaper that you can afford. To have an older Model X, you won't have to go over that long of a term, and you're just be in a way better position overall.
Even this lower one, I couldn't do it in 15 years.
No car you can finance for 15 years. It's just too long of a term. The banks won't go that long. You're getting into like mortgage territory at that point. You should not do that on a car loan. Even if someone somehow can get it done, they would ruin you financially.
I'll look here in the website, and if I have any other doubts, I'll call you back.
No problem, man.
Now, I bet there are quite a few people out there that would be willing to take on a 15-year car loan, even though it's a horrible idea. They get the car they want for a lower monthly payment, which would probably be the number one selling point. And of course, they would tell them that they could just refinance it later. You would be locking yourself into a payment that lasts longer than most marriages, all to convince yourself you can afford something you can't.
I got a 2025 Ford Bronco about 3 weeks ago. The loan was going to be for like $50,800 a month. Instead, I got a loan for $63,100 a month. I've also gotten a couple of trade appraisals, but the car has 1,100 miles on it.
The car's worth $7,000 all day. What's your payoff?
$62,100.
You're like 23 grand upside down. That alone, if we do this until a 36-month lease, it's a $600 payment. It sounds like the rate they gave you also fairly high as well.
I believe it's 11.62%.
Wow.
I didn't know I was signing the paperwork. They put an iPad in front of my face and they said, we need your signature to do DMV and something else. I don't know what she said. And I signed once on an iPad. She came back 10 minutes later and was like, yeah, you're good to go. We're just transferring your plates now. Apparently that was signing the whole entire contract.
Somehow I don't believe that. It's probably more like buyer's remorse. I don't know, maybe it's possible, but I've never heard of one signature for a car loan. I remember 10 or more, plus initialing and dating every other page. And why would you not bring that up right away?
And I didn't even get a copy of it. No one cares about that. I didn't even talk to an attorney. They're like, it's your word against theirs. Not worth the battle.
What's the most you can pay monthly?
$800, but I know that's impossible.
And I'm assuming you still need like a decent sized vehicle.
I have 2 kids, so it can't be too tiny.
We may have to go Pathfinder. We can't go too low of a trim because they probably won't let us bury that money in. You'd be at $1,067 a month with $5,900 out of pocket. I'm sorry about the dealership.
Lesson learned. I've been lucky. I haven't really gotten screwed over before. I usually read the contract when I'm presented with it. I just wasn't. That's a new tactic.
Never heard of that tactic before, to be honest with you. Pretty way to do business. I'm running a Pathfinder SV right now. It's a little bit of a less expensive Pathfinder to see if that would work potentially. We're like 6K short of the max advance. The Pathfinder SL is your best option. $1,067 a month, $5,947 out of pocket.
It would be a stretch, but it would be better than a repo.
So she's willing to jump into another vehicle just to get her payment to drop a few dollars, from $1,100 to $1,067. And that's going to help her avoid a repo in her mind. If the numbers are that tight, the car is as good as gone. They could drop that payment a few $100s and it's likely still going to be repoed. It's amazing how close to the limit people are willing to spend of what they have.
I can put you in a cheaper car. The problem is there's so much to bury. You're burying the full price of a Nissan Sentra.
That's crazy.
Your MSRP is $54,475. Should have been like almost 60 grand after fees and everything. But the issue is that also they marked up your financing tremendously. 11% is very high. It's double probably what you should have gotten. I don't want you to do anything drastic. I think you have an option out, really. My advice to you would be, let's maybe submit an app whenever you're ready with less money out and see if they'll do a max advance exception. It's worth a shot. If you could afford $1,100 a month, give or take, and you can put $3K out of pocket, I don't know if you'll be in a better spot in 3 years if you stuck with your car.
Okay. Thank you for trying.
Yeah, if you want to give it a shot, you let me know.
Car buyer's remorse is pretty simple. The excitement wears off pretty fast, but the payments stick around for years. They might not regret the car, but they regret the bill. You think you're upgrading things, but half the time you're just adding stress and taking away a big portion of your income. Buyer's remorse usually shows up the moment you realize your payment doesn't match your paycheck.
All right, so today is the day I'm gonna go try to trade my Ram back in at the dealership I got it from. I bought this truck. I wanted a newer one. I bought this one because I had just done a bankruptcy, like literally just done it. And they're like, oh, you can only get into this one. The guy told me to come back in 7 months and I could trade this truck in for a newer one. So that's what I'm gonna do is go try to trade this in on a 2026. They got some nice ones in there right now. Literally taking this truck back in the same condition I bought it. The only difference is I put 7,000 miles on it since I got it. Good truck, runs and drives great. It's just, you know, there's different things in the newer one that I want that this one doesn't have. So if anybody's looking for a used Ram 3500 with a high output, this one's gonna be at Gresham Dodge. Pretty nice truck, runs and drives great.
So file for bankruptcy and finance the truck right away. 7 months later, upgrading to a brand new one. Even though he said it runs and drives just great. Why would you do that? This is exactly how you go bankrupt. It sounds like he didn't learn anything from it. And there's a very good chance he's going to go bankrupt again, spending like this.
Dave Ramsey says that you should buy a $3,000 car, 20-year-old Toyota off the side of the road, and just drive it until the wheels fall off. Well, in theory, that would be maybe the smartest financial thing that we could do, but I think that most of us can agree that we're not interested. When I say leasing is the way to go when buying a car, what I'm talking about is I know the average American wants a new car every couple of years. That statistic has been around for as long as I've been in the business, and I see it every day. For as many people as there are that keep their cars for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, there are equal, if not more people that keep their cars for 2 years, a year and a half, a year, 6 months.
Notice how we said Dave Ramsey's way would make sense financially, but most people don't want to do it? So if you want to do it the wrong way, here's what he thinks is the best way to make a big mistake.
When you buy a car and you're only going to keep it for 1 to 3 years, you are owning it in the period of time where it will depreciate the most. Leasing provides you downside risk protection in the value of your vehicle. Yes, you will be locked into that lease for almost the full term. Most brands will have pull-ahead programs that will allow you to get out 3 to 6 months early with no penalty. So if you do a 3-year lease, you can really look at it as like a 2.5-year commitment. 2.5 years in a lease that you then get to turn in and get yourself a new car is significantly better than having the same payment on a 5 or 6 year finance that you get tired of after 2 years, and then you take a bunch of negative equity and you have to do something with it.
Who cares if you're tired of your car? It's not even a thought in my head. I just wanted to drive. The amount of driving I did drastically dropped over the last year. In the last 3 months, besides insurance, I've only spent $50 on it. That was this morning on gas. If I had that car payment, all that money would be going to waste.
I recently went viral for having $30,000 in credit card debt, and it even got picked up by Newsweek. There was an article featuring my credit card debt. And throughout the comments, a lot of people have been recommending different, financial gurus. And of course, people have been recommending Dave Ramsey. So here is why I do not subscribe to Dave Ramsey's snowball effect and his approach in general. So for starters, the entire premise of his plan hinges on having extra money to put towards. So you pay off everything. You pay your bills, you pay all your credit cards, you pay all your debts, and then any extra money you have, stop right there. Who the fuck has extra money? So then he's like, aha, yes, if you don't have extra money, get a second job, get a third job, eat rice and beans. That's actually something I joined a Dave Ramsey private Facebook group. People all the time reference rice and beans, rice and beans. I'm sorry. I'm not willing to do anything to get out of debt. I'm not willing to eat rice and beans every day. I'm not willing to have 3 jobs and not spend time with my children. I'm not willing to forego my favorite salad on a Friday when I feel like getting one.
What's interesting about this is she spent as though she had 2 or 3 jobs. She just doesn't want to actually do the work. Of course, rice and beans doesn't have to mean that. It means eat cheap. Make a food budget and stick to it. She was incredibly irresponsible with her spending, but isn't willing to make any type of sacrifice to get that debt paid down.
My bills and my debt is so tremendous that $20 here, $100 there is not making an impact. The cost of living and low wages is to blame for the financial woes of most Americans. And being told that we can incrementally make these big differences if we just give up our quality of life for 5-10 years is absurd. I turned my $30,000 in credit card loans into a loan consolidation with an 8% interest rate. We're paying about $1,500 a month to pay that off. And it's painful because every month I'm like, wow, what could we have done with that $1,500? But I am not willing to eat rice and beans. I am not willing to have a night job. My mental health and my quality of life is more important to me than paying off that debt. And that doesn't make me a bad person.
Everything is getting more expensive and wages never seem to match the work. But looking back from when I had my debt, it was all because of my bad choices. I didn't need to charge everything. When I did, all I would do was make the monthly payment. I continued to charge things whenever I needed or wanted to. Instead of working on paying down the debt, I just spent that money. The only reason I had that debt was because of me. Nobody to blame but myself.
I'm 35 years old and in $169,292.74 of debt, and I still live at home with my parents. And you might as well bump that up to $266,722.97 in debt if you add in how much I will pay in interest. I started aggressively looking at my debt in January and truly didn't know the full financial picture until I got it all down on paper. Debts include 2 private student loans, 10 federal student loans, 1 auto loan, 1 private loan, and 13 credit cards. I've already taken some drastic measures to reduce spending and start side hustling. I started posting my debt payoff journey here on TikTok in hopes of growing and getting into the creator fund. So if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching and following. I'm selling my debt tracking template, I'm door dashing, donating plasma, selling items around the house, and doing TikTok shop to try and make it. I made some really good progress so far thanks to an annual bonus I got from my 9-to-5 job, but I've got a long way to go. I've been able to negotiate most of my interest rates on my credit cards down with the help of a debt management plan, but the interest on my student loans is wild. My 2 private student loans have interest rates of 12.75% and 8.9%, while my federal loans range from 5.8 to 6.6%.
I think I had one of her clips on the channel before. $169,000 of debt at her age is incredible. She's actually donating plasma to help pay off her debt. The student loans I keep seeing in these videos are just massive. These people think they're going to get ahead in life by going to school, but the loans are just setting them up for a major disadvantage in life.
The private student loans are from my undergraduate degree, which I earned over 15 years ago. I would probably puke if I knew how much I had already paid. And to this day, I think about all the frivolous things I bought and did when I was in my teens and 20s with this money, and wow, if I would have known I would be paying for tank tops and fun nights out at bars 1,000 times over the next 15 years, I might have made some different choices. Even though I've already paid off about $31,000 of debt so far this year, I'm still not looking at being debt-free until 2040. I honestly cannot imagine another 15 years of paying on this debt, especially with so many other life milestones I want to achieve, like buying a house and having kids. I also just got engaged, and it truly makes me sick thinking about how I am bringing more than $150,000 of debt into our marriage starting out. This is not a video to complain by any means because these were my own choices and I'm working to pay back what I owe.
She's looking at 2040 as a payoff date for that spending. She'll be 50 years old. Is it worth going into debt? Are you willing to spend the majority of your life trying to climb out of it? I'm not. I'm just happy with what I have and what I can afford. I hope she does well and I wish her the best because I know this is going to be difficult. I'm going to end the video here and ask you to hit that like and subscribe button, drop a comment below. I'll see you in the next one.